Hello future engineers, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're still new to my channel and you like what I'm doing, please don't forget to share my videos to your friends and to your friends' friends. To your younger brothers and sisters who would want to take up engineering in the future, and to your relatives. That's one way you can keep me going, inspired and refreshed. Now, if you find my videos interesting and important to your studies, also please don't forget to subscribe. Hello, future engineers, subscribers, viewers, and students. Here is another video in calculus, still on graphs of functions, and I introduce limits of functions. I hope that this video will help you in your engineering preparations. Mind you, this is very important in your engineering preparations. So we have here definition of a limit of a function. So the limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to L, and it exists provided that the left hand and the right hand limits exist and equal to each other. So the meaning of x approaches a means x can be made close, very close to a, but not equal to a. So for example, x approaches 2 means x can be made 1.9999 or 2.0001 or closer than this. So you can make it 1.9999999, let us say 9 nines, and 0.0000000001 or 8 zeros before 1, but not equal to 2. So if the left hand limits, which is denoted by x, approaches a from the left, a negative, or and the right hand limit of f of x as x approaches a positive, so that's to the right of a, just to the right of a, and they both exist and are equal to each other, then the limit exists and it is equal to denoted by L. So that's the condition for the limit of a function to exist. The limit as x approaches a from the left should be equal to the limit as x approaches a from the right, and that is the limit of f of x as x approaches a, and it is denoted by L. So that's the condition for the limit of a function to exist. If the function value when x is a is not equal to L, then that means that the graph of the function is not continuous. But the condition of limits is just the left and the right hand limits to exist and both equal to each other for the limit to exist. Even if the function value when x is a is not equal to L, the limit still exists. The only condition is when the limit of the function as x approaches a is equal to the function value when x is a, it is the graph of the function is continuous. That's the only requirement. So limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to L exists if these are the conditions. The limit as x approaches a from the left and the limit exists, and the limit of f of x as x approaches a from the right also exists, and they are equal to each other. So if f of a exists, then f of a is also equal to L, then that means that the graph of the function is continuous. However, the conditions for the limit to exist would just be this, and these should be equal to each other. So therefore, limit as x approaches a of f of x equals L, and if it is equal to f of a, then that means that the graph of the function is continuous. Now, the limit exists if the limit of the function as x approaches a from the left is equal to the limit of the function as x approaches from the right. So these are just the conditions for the limit to exist, and it should be equal to L. Now, if the limit of f of x as x approaches a is equal to L and it is also equal to f of a, remember that means that the graph of the function is continuous. So these are the conditions for continuity of function. conditions for the limit to exist will just be these two requirements here. So for very small angles, sine of theta is approximately equal to theta, and it is equal to approximately equal to tangent theta. 1 degree is quite in fact a big angle already, but let's test for 1 degree. This preliminary relationship or fact is true, especially if the angle is less than 1 degree. So let us say 0.1 of a degree. Much more, these three functions, three expressions will be very, very close to each other. But let's check for 1 degree. Sine of 1 degree using your calculator is about 0.0174524 to 6 significant figures. Theta 1 degree when converted to radians, so times pi over 180 degrees to 6 significant figures or 7 decimal places is 0.0174533, which is slightly greater than that, but they are equal if we just consider 4 significant figures or 5 decimal places. Then tangent of 1 degree is equal to 0.01745. So you look at the first 4 significant figures, they are equal actually. They only differ in the last 2 significant figures. So that means that the arrangement is sine theta is approximately equal to theta but less than theta, and theta is less than equal to approximately equal to tangent theta but less than equal to tangent of theta for very small angles. So therefore, this is true, that sine theta is less than equal to theta and theta is less than equal to tangent theta for very small angles. Because of this fact, if we divide everything by theta, then we have sine theta over theta is less than equal to theta over theta, which is 1, and 1 is less than equal to tangent theta over theta after we divide through by theta. So this would now be the relationship, but remember, they are very close. Therefore, the limit of sine theta over theta as theta approaches 0 is equal to 1, as well as on the right side. But that is true. This inequality is true. So sine theta over theta is less than equal to 1 and less than equal to sine theta over theta. We transform tangent theta into sine theta over cosine theta. So that's still the same. And we have formed sine theta over theta here and another sine theta over theta here, which is the same. And take note that when theta approaches 0, cosine of 0 is 1. So if we have cosine of an angle very, very close to 0, that is approximately equal to 1 also. So therefore, 1 over cosine of theta as theta approaches 0, which is almost equal to 1 but slightly lesser than 1, then the whole value of this would be slightly greater than 1. So that this is true. Then we have, as theta approaches 0, the limit of cosine theta is equal to 1. That's very close to 1. You try cosine of 1 or cosine of 0.1, that would be 1. So therefore, cosine of negative 0.000001 and cosine of positive 0.0001 by definition is equal to 1. Because when we say theta approaches 0, it is either theta approaching from the left of 0, just to the left of 0, and just to the right of 0, and they are both equal to 1. Because of this fact, limit of sine theta over theta as theta approaches 0 therefore is 1. So this is our guide formula whenever we have functions and in terms of trigonometric functions like sine theta over theta, we form this ratio. In fact, we'll we'll generalize this ratio later in this part here. And limit of cosine theta as theta approaches 0 is 1. Then what if we form 1 minus cosine theta over theta? So limit of quantity 1 minus cosine theta over theta, let's develop this formula. Then from trigonometry, this 1 minus cosine theta is equal to 2 sine square of theta over 2. That's the identity, trigonometric identity from half angle formula. So again, 1 minus cosine theta is equal to 2 sine square of theta over 2. So that would be limit as theta approaches 0 of, we replace 1 minus cosine theta by 2 sine square theta over 2 over theta. Then we want to form this ratio because we already know that it is equal to 1, the limit as theta approaches 0. And this is sine square theta. So that means we multiply the numerator by theta over 2 square. So we also divide it by theta over 2 square to form sine theta over 2 over theta over 2 quantity square. So that would be limit as theta approaches 0 of 2 times theta over 2 quantity square of sine square theta over 2 quantity square to balance this introduced value. Then 2 theta square over 4 is theta square over 2, then divided by theta, so that would be theta over 2. Then this is sine theta over 2 quantity square. So that is reduced to limit as theta approaches 0 of theta over 2, then quantity sine theta over 2 quantity square. So this is in that form there, because we can make this sine theta over theta quantity square, then we have over 4, then theta square over 4. So that's the same. We can still form that because the 4 is constant, and we can cancel that actually. So therefore, I'm just presenting it here because the denominator doesn't matter because we can cancel that. Therefore, because limit as theta approaches 0, this is 0, while limit of sine theta over 2 is 1, because sine of 0 is 0. So this is equal to 1 by the formula there. So this is 0 times 1 square, and 0 times 1 square is still 0. So we conclude that limit of 1 minus cosine theta over theta as theta approaches 0 is 0. So these are very important formulas, especially for evaluating limits of functions involving trigonometric expressions or trigonometric functions. We then generalize that the limit of sine kx over kx as theta approaches 0 is equal to limit as theta approaches 0 of sine negative kx over negative kx, which is equal to 1. So the constant does not matter, and we can form this into negative of sine kx. Remember, sine function is odd, so we can write this as negative of sine kx, positive kx, over negative kx. So the negative can be cancelled, and if you imagine that theta kx is theta, that is also theta, so it is the same as that, because as x approaches 0, as x approaches 0, kx also approaches 0. So that means we just use this formula above there. So this is as x approaches 0, so in general that is 1. Then we'll have to answer this problem. Draw the curve absolute value of x plus absolute value of y equals 1. So remember that absolute value of x is defined piecewise as x if x is greater or equal to 0. So it is just x if x is positive or 0. and it is equal to negative x if x is less than 0. So if x is negative, for example, negative 5, so absolute value of negative 5 is 5. So we have negative of negative 5, which is positive 5. So that is true definition. So therefore, we have absolute value of y is y if y is greater or equal to 0, and negative y if y is less than 0, just like above there. So if we imagine that both x and y are greater than equal to 0, then this equation can be transformed into x plus y equals 1. So that is for both x and y greater than equal to 0. While this one, only x is greater than 0 and y is less than 0 for this case. So x and y are greater than 0, so that we can simplify absolute value of x plus absolute value of y equals 1 into x plus y equals 1. And for the second part, x greater than equal to 0 and y is less than 0 for that case. Then in this case, this is the situation where x is less than 0 and y is greater or equal to 0. And this is the situation where both x and y are less than 0. So in the upper part, x is less than 0, y is greater or equal to 0. And in the lower part, both x and y are less than 0. We then sketch the graph. So for this line here, we only substitute positive values of both of x, and y should also be expected positive or 0. So when x is 0, because these are lines, we just assign two values. So when x is 0, then y is 1. So let's locate that. 0, y is 1, it's here. Then when y is 1, then x is 1 minus 1, x is 0. So 1, x is 0, y is 1. But when x is 0, x is 1, y is 0 also. We can assign x is 1 here because both x and y are positive. So when x is 1, compute for y, y is 0. So it is here. We then connect these 2 points with a straight line. So that's the graph of this part. Then in this case, because x is greater or equal to 0, so when x is 0, y is negative 1. And when x is 1, y is 0. Because 1 minus y is 1, so y is 1 minus 1, so 0. So x is 1, y is 0. When x is 0, then y is negative 1. So first x is 1, y is 0. X is 1, y is 0 here. And the other point, when x is 0, y is negative 1. So this is the point. So therefore, this line is represented by this graph here. Then here, x is negative, y is greater or equal to 0. So when x is 0, y is 1. So this is the point. Then when x is negative 1, so negative of negative 1, so positive 1, then y is 0, which is this point here. So therefore, the graph of this line is this one. Just connect them. Finally, this is both x and y less than 0. So if we assign x is negative 1, then y is 0, which is this point. Then when y is negative 1, negative of negative 1 is 1, so x is 0, which is this point here. So therefore, the graph of this part is this line here, which closes the figure. So therefore, the graph of absolute value of x plus absolute value of y equals 1 is represented by this square, which is rotated. So the side of the square is square root of 1 square plus 1 square, so square root of 2. So if it is asked to compute the area, it is square root of 2 square, so it is 2 square units. In fact, we already sketched this graph in the preceding videos. So you just go over with that if you want to completely view the figure. Then if f of o as function of x is x squared and f of n plus 1 of x is f of o times f of n of x for n equals 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth. Find a formula for f of n of x. So we use mathematical induction here. So f1 of x is equal to fo times fo of x. So we simply replace this into replace x by x squared, so it becomes x squared quantity square. So f1 of x is x squared quantity square. We replace x by x squared, fox, which is x squared, then quantity square. So it is equal to x to the fourth. Then let's look for the pattern. f2 of x is fo times f1 of x. So fo times f1 of x, that means that we replace x here by x to the fourth, then quantity square. Then it is equal to x to the 8th. Then lastly, to see the pattern, although we already see the pattern, f3 of x is fo times f2 of x, and it is equal to f3 of x, therefore is so we replace x here by x to the 8th, then square it, then it is x to the 16th. Therefore, this f1 of x is actually equal to x squared raised to n plus 1 in general, 1 plus 1 in general. So x to the power of 2, then this 2 here is raised further to 1 plus 1 because this is the first f1 and that's the subscript. Then this 1 here is just invented to satisfy that expression. So that is still x to the fourth. f2x is x to the 2, then raised to 2 plus 1. So that's why we have 2 to the 3 is 2 to the 3 is still 8, which satisfies this. 2 to the 1 plus 1 is 2 square, which is x, so that becomes x to the 4th. So that is true after we test the function. f3 of x therefore is x to the 2, then 2 is raised to 3 plus 1. Therefore, since we see the pattern, the expression for fn of x therefore is x to the 2, then it is raised to n plus 1. So this is the expected f of n of x. So that's the answer. And we check that for n is 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth. So that is true. So that's the answer. Then explain in your own words what is meant by the equation limit of f of x as x approaches 1 equals 4. Is it possible for this statement to be true and yet f of 1 is 3? Explain. So let us explain the meaning of limit of f of x as x approaches 1 is 4. It means that the limit of the function as x approaches 1 is 4 because the limit of the function as x approaches 1 from the left, which is 0.9999999, and limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the right, which is 1.000001, are both equal to 4. So that's why the limit of f of x as x approaches 1 is really equal to 4. Then for the question, is it possible for this statement to be true and yet f of 1 is 3? Yes, because the conditions for limit of a function to exist is that the left hand and the right hand limits must be equal to each other, and that's why the limit is equal to 4. It has nothing to do with the function value at x equals 1. Even if they are not equal, then the limit still exists, and that statement there is still true. If f of 1 is equal to 4, then remember that's the only condition for the function to be continuous. So that's it. Then use the given graph of f to state the value of each quantity if it exists. If it does not exist, explain why. So limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the left, then limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the right. C, limit of f of x as x approaches 1. D, limit of f of x as x approaches 5. F, function value when x is 5. So this is the graph, and if you look at the figure, the limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the left, so just to the left of f, this value is equal to 1, 2. So it is 2. The limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the left is 2, and it exists. So limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the left is equal to, you just read it here, the value of y here is 2, so it is 2. Then the limit of f of x as x approaches 1 from the right, so 1 from the right, so it is equal to 3. So it exists and it is equal to 3. However, letter C, the limit of f of x as x approaches 1, since the requirement for the limit to be equal to L is that the left hand and the right hand limits must be equal. Since they are not equal, so that means the limit as x approaches 1 does not exist, because the limit as x approaches 1 from the left is not equal to the limit as x approaches 1 from the right. So therefore, the limit of f of x as x approaches 1 does not exist. Then the limit of f of x as x approaches 5, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is here. Although this is an open dot, just to the left and just to the right, they are both equal to 4. So therefore, the answer is 4. Limit of f of x as x approaches 5 is equal to 4. However, the function value when x is 5 does not exist, because this is an open hole. This is a point of discontinuity. It is an open hole, so it does not exist. So f of 5 does not exist. So that's the answer for that problem. Then the sides of 3 squares are 4cx. If the area of the third square equals the difference in area of the other two, graph x as a function of c. So this should be arranged from lower side to highest side, because x, the area of the last square, which is x square, is the difference between the first two. So therefore, x squared equals c squared. This should be greater in dimension than 4. 4 should be the square with the lowest dimension. So x squared, that's the area of the third square, is equal to area of the second square, which is c squared, minus the area of the first square, which is 4 squared. So x squared equals c squared minus 4 squared. Solving for x is square root of c squared minus 16. Now, for this function to exist, the value of x should be, absolute value of c should be greater or equal to 16. And that means x should be less than negative 4, or x less than equal to negative 4, or sorry, c is less than equal to negative 4, or c is greater or equal to positive 4. So in other words, absolute value of c should be greater or equal to 4. That's the condition, or that's the domain of c. So we have c on the horizontal axis, x on the vertical axis. So when x is, we can only assign values of x that are either plus minus 4 or plus minus 5, plus minus 6, and so on and so forth. So when x is plus minus 4, this would be, x would be 0. 16 minus 16 is 0. So we have 2 points there, negative 4 comma 0 and 4 comma 0. By the way, this is, the graph of this is the upper branches of hyperbola that are open to the right and to the left. So that when x is plus minus 6 here, because the grids are 2 units each side, so plus minus 6, 36 minus 16 is 20, square root of 20 is 2 square root of 5, and that's 4.47 something. So it should be here, plus minus 6, so 4.47 as plotted there. Then when c is plus minus 8, then it is 6.9 something. That's it. So these points are enough to sketch the graph of x as a function of c, as shown. So that's it for this video, and I hope that you learned something and you're prepared for the applications of the calculus later.